Have you ever stopped to think about why a man decides to truly commit to a woman? I'm not talking about a short relationship being together for a few months and then disappearing, but about real commitment, that quiet decision he makes inside himself when he understands he no longer wants to look anywhere else, when he chooses that you are the person he will invest his time, energy, and life in. We usually believe the reasons are obvious: beauty, affection, friendship, or even physical attraction. But the truth is that these points may matter at first. They call attention, they create desire, they bring that phase of enchantment. However, for a man to make the internal decision to stay, there are only two hidden factors. Two elements that cannot be seen with the eyes, that do not appear in a simple conversation, that are not stamped in a single action. They are silent forces that act inside the male mind, deciding if he will just pass through your life or if he will build something by your side. And I know it may sound strange when I say hidden factors, but that is exactly why most women get confused. They believe they need to be perfect, always beautiful, pleasing everyone, making sacrifices, or even accepting less than they deserve to keep a man. And that is where many feel frustrated, because even when they give their best, the man simply chooses not to stay. He may like her, he may even show care, but deep inside, in his mind, the decision has not been made. What I want you to understand now is that this choice does not happen by luck. Every man, whether he knows it or not, runs a kind of invisible test. He watches, he analyzes, he feels, and when the two right factors appear, it is as if something clicks inside him. From that moment, he stops looking around, he stops hesitating, and he decides to stay. But here is the detail few people talk about. These two factors have nothing to do with looks, money, or even spoken words of love. They are tied to deep instincts that guide the male mind. And when a woman touches these points, she does not need to chase, beg, or fight for attention. The man naturally connects, naturally gives himself, and naturally chooses her. In this video, I will reveal this secret step by step. I'll explain why these two hidden factors are so powerful and how they really work. You'll understand why many relationships end right after the initial phase, while others grow stronger with time. You'll see that it's not luck or chance, but silent triggers that, when activated, change everything. Before we dive into the main content, I want to invite you to think for a moment. How many times have you asked yourself what was missing in a past relationship? How many times did you feel like you gave your all, but even so, he didn't stay? Or maybe you are in a relationship now and notice that the man has not yet made the full decision to stand by your side with his heart and soul. Well, know this. The answer to all these questions is inside these two hidden factors. And throughout this 30-minute video, you will gain a clarity that maybe you never had before about what really drives a man's heart and mind. This is not complicated theory, nor pretty phrases from social media. It is pure male psychology, explained in simple words so that anyone can understand and use in real life. Stay until the end, because it is not enough to just know what these two factors are. You also need to learn how to awaken them without forcing, without manipulating, and without losing who you are. When you discover how to do this, you will never again need to fear being replaced, forgotten, or devalued. Because when a man decides to stay, it is not because of beauty, interest, or pressure. It is because something inside him has been turned on, and he cannot let go anymore. To better understand how these two hidden factors work, let's imagine the path of an ordinary man in his relationships. Think of a guy who has dated several women, lived moments of passion, had intense connections, but never really stayed. He always seemed to find an excuse. I'm not ready. This isn't the right time. I don't think she's the right one. On the outside, it may look like indecision or even immaturity, but behind it, there is something deeper. When this man meets someone, the first days or weeks are filled with novelty. Her beauty catches his eye. Her way of talking pulls him in. The moments together seem perfect. But this first stage is not enough for him to make the internal decision to stay. It is as if he were testing, watching. He still doesn't feel the invisible safety that triggers the deepest instincts of his mind. Now, picture another example. He meets a woman who does not try to be perfect all the time. She doesn't try to control every situation. She doesn't need to prove every moment that she deserves to stay. She simply is herself. She has presence. She knows what she wants, and she knows how to set limits in a natural way. At that moment, without even noticing, he starts to feel something different. It is not only desire, it is not only affection. It is a kind of safety that his mind quietly searches for. And here we touch on one of the two hidden factors, Another real example. How many times have you seen men stay for years with a woman who, for others, was not the most beautiful, did not have the perfect body or the highest status, yet he stayed, defended the relationship, made plans, and turned down other chances? Why? Because these two hidden factors were there, and that was enough to secure his choice. It is important to understand that men do not talk about this. They do not sit with friends and say, "I chose to stay because these two factors were activated." No, this happens in silence, in the subconscious. The man just feels he found something rare and decides not to let it go. And when these factors are not present, the relationship may have good moments, it may even last for months or years, but deep down, the man is never fully in. He always leaves a door open, always keeps a hidden doubt, always holds back a little. That is why so many relationships end suddenly, even when everything seemed fine. Now let's see the other side. Many women think that to keep a man, they must sacrifice themselves. They accept less than they deserve, lose their own identity, and live only for their partner. And what happens? He does not choose to stay, because no man makes that decision out of submission or desperation. On the contrary, when he feels that, he distances himself even more. This is when many women say, "I gave everything and even that was not enough." And the answer is simple. It was not enough because what truly keeps a man is not what you give in excess, but what you show in a hidden way. One more detail. These factors cannot be faked. You can act for a while, but the male mind senses when something is forced. The true strength of these two elements is that they flow naturally when a woman is in tune with her own essence, when she does not try to be someone else. And this is exactly where the secret lies. A man decides to stay when he feels he has found something he cannot buy, cannot fake, and cannot replace. In the next few minutes, we are going to look at each of these two hidden factors, showing how they appear in real life and how you can awaken them without changing who you are. But before I reveal what they are, keep this in mind. It is not about how much effort you make, nor about trying to be perfect. It is about triggering inner signals that most women ignore, and that once activated, completely change the course of a relationship. The time has come to reveal the first hidden factor that makes a man truly decide to stay with a woman. This factor is simple to understand, but strong enough to completely change the course of any relationship: the feeling of emotional peace. It may seem obvious at first, but it is not. Emotional peace does not mean no fights. It does not mean there will never be arguments, and much less that the woman must be passive or accept everything just to avoid conflict. The emotional peace I am talking about is that calm energy a man feels when he is with someone who does not turn every little thing into a battlefield. It is the calm of being with someone who does not live in a cycle of demands, drama, or insecurity. Men may be attracted to intensity, mystery, and burning passion. This catches their attention for a time. But when the moment comes to truly commit, they look for something else, an emotional space where they can rest their mind. Think about it. The world already pressures us. Work is heavy. Duties weigh a lot. When he meets someone who brings balance, that is one of the strongest triggers there is. And how does this emotional peace appear in practice? I'll give you some clear examples. When a disagreement happens, the woman does not turn it into a personal attack. When he needs silence, she knows it is not rejection, just his way to recharge. When a problem appears, instead of adding to the mess, she tries to understand and help. This kind of attitude creates a special atmosphere that the man notices without needing words. It is as if his subconscious says, "Here I can rest, here I can be myself, here I don't need masks." And when he feels that, he rarely wants to let it go. Now you may be thinking, but does that mean I have to accept everything in silence? Not at all. Emotional peace is not being voiceless. On the contrary, it is balanced firmness. It is knowing how to say no when needed, but without turning it into a war. It is setting boundaries, but without humiliating, manipulating, or exploding. It is speaking your truth with confidence, without anger or blackmail. Men deeply value this trait because even if they cannot explain it, they notice that most people they meet are the opposite: insecure, unstable, full of demands. So when they find someone who radiates peace, they see it as something rare, almost impossible to find. Think about how many times you have heard men say things like, "With her, I feel at home," or, "When I'm with her, everything feels lighter." This has nothing to do with beauty, money, or exaggerated effort. It is connected to the first hidden factor, emotional peace. And here is something deeper. Emotional peace does not mean you need to carry the weight of the whole relationship by yourself. It begins with you. A man notices when a woman has inner balance, when she does not depend on him to feel happy, when she does not throw all her insecurities onto him. This emotional independence creates a strong attraction. He feels he does not need to rescue you, and that makes him want to stay. Another important point: emotional peace is not the same as boredom. Many women confuse balance with lack of excitement. But in truth, this peace gives room for the relationship to grow in a healthy way. Without useless drama, there is more energy to build real intense moments, to plan together, to laugh, and to enjoy life. This first hidden factor is so strong that often a man only notices its value after losing it. He leaves a woman who offered this calm, and when he gets involved with another who only brings insecurity and endless demands, he realizes the treasure he gave up. That's why when he finds this peace in a real way, he rarely wants to risk losing it. In the next moments, we will dive into the second hidden factor, the one that, together with emotional peace, seals a man's choice for good. But before that, keep this in mind. It is not about avoiding arguments, nor about always pleasing him. It is about creating a space where his mind can rest and his heart can feel stable. If the first hidden factor that makes a man stay is emotional peace, the second is just as powerful and maybe even rarer: silent admiration. It may sound simple, but it is not. Admiration is not just giving compliments or saying, "You're amazing." It is something much deeper. It is the real feeling that the woman he is with inspires him, earns his respect, and makes him feel like a better man. When a man feels true admiration for a woman, he does not just see her as a partner, he sees her as part of his vision for the future. And here is the detail almost no one mentions. A man can love, he can feel desire, he can even have a strong bond. But if he does not feel admiration, it is very unlikely he will choose to stay. The opposite is also true. Even if the relationship faces struggles, when admiration exists, it works as an invisible glue that holds everything together. But how is admiration built? It has nothing to do with wealth, status, or public recognition. Admiration is born from a woman's actions, her choices, and the way she faces life. For example, when she strongly defends her boundaries, showing she knows what she deserves. When she takes care of herself not for vanity but out of respect for who she is. When she shows that she has a vision for her future, her own dreams and goals, without needing a man to define her. When she faces problems without playing the victim all the time but with strength and courage. All of this awakens something powerful in a man's mind. He looks and thinks, "This woman lifts me up, makes me want to grow, makes me proud to be by her side." Now compare this with the opposite situation. Many men end up walking away when they notice that the relationship is only about demands, insecurity, and dependence. This does not create admiration, it creates weight. And weight sooner or later becomes unbearable. When a man does not admire the woman he is with, he may stay for a while, but inside he is already distant. That's when excuses, coldness, and lack of effort in the relationship appear. And let me make this clear. Admiration is not about perfection. It does not mean never making mistakes or always being flawless. On the contrary, admiration grows when the man sees that the woman is real, that she is not afraid to show weakness, but that she also does not lose herself in dependence. He feels he is with someone who has her own essence, and this naturally creates respect. A clear example: think of stories where the woman, even in times of financial problems or personal struggles, kept her dignity, looked for solutions, and stood firm. The man, seeing this, does not forget. This behavior stays in his mind as proof of strength, and deep in his subconscious, the choice to stay becomes stronger. Another example: women who inspire their partners to grow, not because they pressure them, but because their way of living becomes an example. A man who looks at his partner and feels proud will naturally want to stay, because deep down, every man wants to walk beside someone who adds value, someone he respects, someone he knows he can introduce to the world without fear. This second hidden factor, silent admiration, is what turns attraction into decision. It is what makes a man think not only about the present, but about building a future with that woman. When he feels emotional peace and true admiration, nothing else is needed. These two forces together create an invisible bond that is stronger than any promise or word. And here is an important warning. Some women, when they hear this, think they need to try too hard to be admired. But the truth is that real admiration does not come from effort that feels fake, but from authenticity. When you live true to your values, when you respect yourself, when you seek your own growth, this naturally inspires respect. You don't need masks. You don't need games. Now you can see why so many men go through many relationships but only choose to stay in one. It is because only in that one did they find these two hidden factors. They may not be able to explain it in words, but they know exactly how they feel. And once they feel it, they rarely go back. In the next minutes, we will connect these two factors and show how they work together, how you can apply this in practice, and why, without them, everything else ends up being temporary. Now that you know the two hidden factors that make a man decide to stay, emotional peace and silent admiration, it's time to put the pieces together and see how they truly transform a relationship. Many relationships begin full of passion, chemistry, desire, and even promises. But over time, that first energy changes. If nothing deeper holds the bond, everything falls apart. That's where these two factors come in. They are like invisible roots that hold the tree upright, even when the strong winds of life arrive. Emotional peace gives the man a safe place in the relationship, a space where he can rest from the pressures of the world. This does not mean the absence of problems, but the certainty that, together, they can face each challenge without turning it into war. This sense of balance is rare and powerful. Silent admiration, on the other hand, is the fuel that makes a man look at his partner and feel proud to be with her. It is what makes him think about the future, want to build, and want to stay. Without admiration, even strong love wears out. With admiration, even hard times can be endured. And most important, these factors do not depend on looks, money, status, or extreme sacrifice. They depend on how you carry yourself in life and in the relationship. A man chooses to stay when he feels that with her he has both peace and pride. He doesn't need to say it, he doesn't need to explain it. The decision is already made inside. How many times have you heard stories of men known as playboys who never stayed in one relationship, but suddenly found a woman and completely changed? To others, it may look like magic, but in reality, it is simple. That woman awakened the two hidden factors in him. She gave him peace and inspired admiration, and that was enough for him to stay. On the other hand, how many stories exist of women who gave too much, who sacrificed everything, who tried to be perfect, and still weren't chosen? This happens because effort alone does not activate the hidden factors. In fact, it often smothers them. What truly creates a bond is what cannot be forced: balance and authenticity. So what can you do from here? First, understand that emotional peace begins inside you. When you face your insecurities, when you learn to value yourself, when you stop depending on others for validation, you naturally share this energy. Second, live in a way that inspires quiet admiration. This doesn't mean being perfect, but being true, strong, resilient, and with dreams of your own. Men admire when they see that their partner has her own strength, and not just when she molds herself to please. When these two factors work together, there is no space for doubt. Men don't need to make lists, they don't need to hesitate, they don't need to search outside. They simply decide. And once that decision is made, it is not temporary. They may face problems, they may go through crises, but the roots are already firm, and strong roots can survive any storm. So always remember, the secret is not in being the most beautiful, the most intelligent, or the most available. The secret is being the one who brings peace and inspires respect. This mix is rare, and that is exactly why it is so valuable. When you finish this video, take a look at your own life and ask yourself, am I building peace inside myself? Do I inspire admiration through my choices, my behavior, and my true self? If the answer is yes, know that you are already activating the hidden factors that make any man decide to stay. And if the answer is no, that's okay. This is the moment to begin. Because once you understand this secret, you no longer need to chase, you no longer need to beg, you no longer need to feel less than enough. You become the natural choice. And here is the truth. Every man truly chooses to stay for two hidden factors: emotional peace and silent admiration. Now that you know this secret, use it to transform the way you see your relationships and the way you carry yourself in the world.